Some people have said that Jonah is the anti-Good Samaritan. If you put this Good Samaritan parable of the New Testament together with the book of Jonah in the Old Testament, what do you get? Now, let me remind you what the Good Samaritan is about. The Good Samaritan is a man who's coming along, and he's in a very dangerous place on a road, the road to Jericho, infested with highwaymen, and he comes upon a Jew, and the Jews and the Samaritans hated each other. Two different races that despised each other, and he comes upon a Jew. He's sworn enemy, but he sees a man had been beaten up by robbers. He was perhaps going to die. He desperately needed medical help. But to even stop, for the Samaritan to even stop on the Jericho road, was taking his own life in his hand. One commentator says this. He says, the Good Samaritan stops on the Jericho road to assist someone he does not know in spite of the self-evident peril of doing so. He gives of his own goods and money freely, making no arrangements for reciprocation in order to obtain care for this stranger. He enters into an inn, itself a place of potential danger, and he even enters into an open-ended monetary relationship with the innkeeper, a relationship in which the chance of extortion is very high. Here's when Jesus is asked, but Jesus says you have to love your neighbor as yourself, and Jesus is asked, what does that mean? What does it mean to love my neighbor? Who is my neighbor? Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan, and what is that story? A man who gives practical, financial, economic help to a person of a different race and of a different religion. So when you ask Jesus, what does it mean to love? It means he gives you an example. It doesn't mean that's the only way to love anybody. He gives you the example of someone who gives a sacrificial, life-risking, practical help to a person of a different race and religion. That's what Jesus says. There's my example of what it means to love your neighbor, which is exactly the opposite of what Jonah does. Jonah does not want to risk his life. In fact, he imperils the life of the people that he despises.